Mamdani's, whether he can govern or not, is going to have a lot to do with who he chooses to appoint to help him. I'm going to say that there's aspects to this that a lot of outsiders, non-New Yorkers, don't understand, which is that this is a strong city council system. Okay. The mayor is not as strong as he is in a number of other American cities. However, he's a lot stronger than he used to be, thanks to old Mayor Bloomberg, who brought the city schools under his jurisdiction. It's the second largest school system in the nation with over 1 million students. And LA is the biggest. And it is it's a big locus of power. He has, to answer your question about the cops, said that he does not believe in defunding the police, although in 2020, at the height of the BLM movement, he did say that he wanted to defund the police, but I think he meant that in the context at the time of moving resources from the police to more social work and so on. But be that as it may, the city council is left-wing here. It always has been. It's been to the left of the mayor for decades, and it should be pointed out that the city council was swept yesterday by Democratic socialists aligned with Mamdani. So no Democratic socialist lost any race that they were in for city council yesterday. The only Democratic socialist who lost was for the comptroller's office. So that's going to be, so I think what's going to happen is, for the first time, the council is going to have a mayor that's ideologically aligned with them and on a number of manners. Now, I agree that the right, Fox News and everything, they're going to be beating up the Democratic Party this way, and it will work everywhere except in New York City. New Yorkers are very happy about this. It should. If you look at the results, most New Yorkers, if you look at the sum total of the people who voted against Cuomo and for progressives who are not Mamdani, it's like 50-60% of the vote in like a 9-10 way race. That's an overwhelming rejection of Cuomo. Now, I want to sort of get into why Cuomo lost. So Cuomo was 67 years old and obviously didn't have the energy to go pounding on as many doors as a guy who's half his age. But also, he really wrapped himself in the mantle of the establishment at a time when New Yorkers are surly as shit. The Rent Control Board just approved a massive rent increase for rent-stabilized apartments throughout the city at a time when it couldn't possibly have been worse. I just think it was a huge mistake. He got all this institutional support from institutions that are despised, like the New York Times and Bill Clinton. It's like and he didn't seem to want to work for it. All he needed to do to win was say one of two things. It might be nice if Israel stopped killing so many Palestinians, or he could have said, what
does that have to do with New York?
Rents are pretty rough. Rents are pretty rough. What it has to do with New York? Are you kidding? New York's winning the vote in New York is why Harry Truman supported the creation of the state of Israel, right, in 1948. So, Israeli politics are stupidly, but factually intertwined.
I think your second point is better taken than your first. The rents in crime.
I am currently paying $4,900 a month for my 2-bedroom apartment, which you've been to. And It's a lovely apartment, but it's not $4,900 a month apartment. And in fact, it won't be for long because it'll be a $5,100 a month apartment soon. And the thing is, and meanwhile, the unit right next door, identical to mine, has been vacant for at least 3 years. The whole building is half empty. That the whole neighborhood, the whole thing is like that, right? When a city's falling apart, things should get cheaper. It just keeps getting more expensive. When Mamdani's called for a rent freeze, not even a reduction. Okay, listen to me, Zohran. It's like, a rent freeze is not radical. You could cut my rent in half, it would still be too fucking high. And so he's also called for free buses. That sounds crazy, but when you know how the New York City transit system works.
I was going to say it's heavily subsidized.
Well, that's true. 60% of the people who ride the buses didn't pay their fares. They snuck on. So they're not getting that money anyway. And we have free transfers between buses and subways. Most people who board a bus started their trip on the train and then transferred to the bus and for free. So really, it's probably not going to make that much difference. It's probably going to be a wash when you consider the cost of collecting the fares, and keep guarding the fares, keeping the drivers safe from robbery and all that. It's probably the MTA might come out ahead by doing this. So it's, sometimes collecting a wee bit of money, and Scott, you're right, it's 90% subsidized by the US DOT. So it's kind of like, you could do this. Now, Mamdani doesn't have the authority. He doesn't control the MTA. So the big question here is whether he would be able to work out a good enough relationship with the governor who holds all the purse strings for New York City, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Right.
She's a right-wing Democrat. So that would be a challenge. But if he can work out an amicable relationship with her, a personal relationship, they might be able to get things done.
And going forward, I mean, first of all, I want to say that a Republican can win in New York City. Giuliani and Bloomberg both ran as Republicans and won.
Fake Republicans.
Regardless, a Republican can win. But you're right. Curtis Sliwell is not a fake Republican. He's generally conservative. And I'm not sure if he's MAGA, is he? I hope not. That would make me sad.
No, I don't think so. A man who's that into cats cannot possibly be MAGA.
God. And also, you forget that Adams, current incumbent Mayor Adams, is running as an independent. So
True.
So the corrupt faction of the city has someone to vote for. Thank God, because those people don't get heard nearly enough in City Hall. The moneyed corrupt interests there. So yeah, I think your analysis of Cuomo is dead on. He thought that because the New York Times loves me and the Clintons love me, I love me. Who doesn't love me?